Cory Mills is a U.S. Army combat veteran, the founder and CEO of PACM Solutions International. He spent more than 7 years in Iraq, knows that country very well, and joins us tonight. Cory, thanks so much for coming on.
Tucker, thank you for having me.
So you just heard Colonel McGregor say that we don't have any overriding national interest in remaining in Iraq, so why don't we leave?
Well, I'll be the first to say that I wasn't exactly the biggest advocate for war in Iraq, and I certainly am not an advocate for war with Iran. I think that the president has continued to inherit a bit of a plague from previous administrations, and he's trying to unravel those. And, you know, like an onion, it's got many layers that you must peel back. What I would say, however, is that we do have a certain obligation to the Iraqi people. I heard Colonel McGregor just speak about how they don't want us in Iraq. The reality is that, yes, the Iranians definitely do not want us in Iraq. You see this with the non-binding parliamentary vote, which is for show and is not a law-binding thing. But you do see the Iraqi people who at the same day stormed into Nasiriyah and actually burned and set fire to the PMF, the Popular Mobilization Forces that are there, which are a Iranian-backed force. One of the things that you had made mention of, and I completely agree with, is you made a statement. You said there's a lot of bad guys out there, and we cannot kill them all. I completely agree with that sentiment in every way. But what I would say is that when we have intelligence in any form that actually does imminently threat American lives, and having been the recipient of one of the Iranian explosive foreign projectile IEDs in 2006 that got 3 out of the 5 guys in my vehicle, I can tell you that we must take action.
Well, I don't think you'd have any argument with anyone in America, except like the true lunatics. If there's a way to strike preemptively to save American lives, I think every American would be for that. The question is, how long do you stay in a country that doesn't want us, in which we have had over 35,000 killed or wounded, as you well know, and in which we spent trillions of dollars? What's the point at which we've done our duty to the Iraqi people, we've paid the price we owe them, and when can we leave exactly?
You know, I don't look at it so much as we owe it to them or we have a price that must be paid. You know, I look at it and think,
okay, but when can we leave?
You know what? I think that we leave as soon as we actually have Iranian influence, which has basically been, or in some abilities, have been crippled, and they're able to basically stand up a new non-sectarian democracy. You know, keep in mind the 2005 sectarian constitution.
Now I have to laugh at you. So you're still a believer in the George W. Bush vision that people who have nothing in common, that are living in a fake country created by the European powers after the fall of the Ottoman Empire in World War I, are somehow going to come together and overcome their ethnic and religious divisions and become Iraqis just because they're going to base their country on an idea?
No, I'm not.
Do you think that?
No, I mean, again, I'm not completely bought into the entire Bush. Again, I wasn't for the Iraq War to begin with. However, I do think that the de-Baathification and the implemented 2005 constitution that basically creates a sectarian democracy must be reformed. And we must recall that we actually had a large part to play in that. So I think that while we actually influenced that to be a more destabilized nation, we then basically did nothing for 8 years under the previous administration, which enabled things to continue to fester.
But wait, it seems to me that the Ba'ath Party, the fascism of Saddam, was the only thing holding that country together. I mean, the Shia, the Sunnis, the Kurds, they didn't want to live together. And without Saddam forcing them to, they'd probably rather be 3 countries. Why not just let them be?
Well, I actually, you know, I was thinking about that the other day, actually. You know, a lot of people want to talk about the de-Baathification of the Ba'ath Party and how it was uniting. What actually was uniting is, you know, when you watch the 1979 Saddam public purge, where they were calling out people 10 at a time and having them executed until everyone stood up and yelled, "Long live Saddam, long live the Ba'ath Party." That's not about loyalty. That's about preservationists. Yeah. And, you know, right now, the people of Iraq are standing up against the Iranian regime. They are standing up and fighting against the Shia militias, the Qasem Soleimani's. You know, you watch in the coming days, we'll have in the next 48 hours to 72 hours, you're going to have millions of Iraqis who are going to storm the streets in Tahrir Square and all the other areas and boycott everything that the parliament has just voted for, because they realize that this parliament is being threatened by the PMF in Iran, and that is the only reason that they've done this non-binding vote as a show of force, very much like Iran did with their ballistic missiles.
Man, I wish them all luck. I'd like to wish them luck from, you know, thousands of miles away. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Tucker.